All right, so let me go and create a brand new project. So new project, okay? And I'm creating the report server project because I don't want any wizard type of thing. Okay. So I'm creating a brand new project, and this. So wizard will start the wizard. Remember the first time you created a wizard report. So it walks you through different steps. But in the real world, we don't use wizard. If you just want to put some quick and dirty thing, you use wizard. Okay. But otherwise, you don't really use wizard type of thing. You always create from scratch. Okay. So this time I'll call it a patient main report. Okay. So I'm naming it as a patient main, and nothing I need to change here. So I'll go and this is the directory it will save. Okay, I think you guys recognize that location. This is a directory. It will actually save all the project files and the report file. For now, just I'll leave it whatever it is. Click OK. All right. So I have an empty solution or empty project here. Right? There is nothing there. I named it as patient main report, but that's the project name. Where is my report? I need to add the report here in the report folder. So I will right click on it, select that, right click, add new item. Okay. So this is the actual report now. Okay. Now let's call patient main. I'm just calling it kind of like a similar because that would be my main report, patient parent report. That's what I'm creating. Patient main parent report. Let me just name that way and click add. Okay. So again, my report is added here in this folder .rdl file, but again, I don't have anything, right? So I have to start from scratch here. So first thing, what I'll do is go ahead and create the data source. Okay. So I'll select right click on data source, add data source, and let's leave it same. I don't want to change anything. But the important part, this string is empty, right? This is the way it says how do you connect to the database. So for that, I have to supply the credentials. Okay. So I'll click on edit. I'll say server name and local host should work for most of us. Now in the real world, they will actually give you the server name to connect. Okay. So that's what you need to put in over there, or you can select from the drop down list. Authentication, Windows authentication is fine. Now I have to see my database, and our data comes from the registration, patient registration. So that is fine. Click test connection. Everything looks good. Click OK, click OK, and click OK. All right, so my data source is added, right? I can see it here. Now I'll go to the second step, which is data set, which is where is my query, where is my data, right? So that's where I'll go here, click at data set, and this time I'll use, you have to click this use data set embedded in my report. Now what this one is, you can create a shared data set. Okay. So when you create it, you can use that data set in any report that you have in your project. But for now, we'll keep it simple. We'll go with the user data set embedded in my report. Okay. And you can play around with the other one if you like. Here, the text field, right? I'm going to select the text and let's see what my query is. Okay. So I'm going back to the SQL Management Studio, writing my query, make sure I have all the fields that I need for the report. So what I mean is, do I have the first name, last name, date of birth, SS number? Because that would be part of my parent report. Okay. Everything else is child. So I don't worry about that creating here. So I'll copy that query and let's put it in here. Okay. So my query runs and so it's good. So I'll click on OK for now. Now it's asking me where is my data source. So you have to select it from here because this is what you created as part of your data source. It will show up in here, okay, in the same project. So I'll select that and I should be good. Okay, it says unable to connect to data source. Okay, so my data source has some problem. So let me go back here, see what I did wrong. Oh, here, what I have is I have a Microsoft SQL Server selected. So it's expecting to connect using the SQL login. Okay, so I have to change type here. Actually, not here. Let me go back here. Oops. Yeah, this one. Somehow on my machine I have some issue. Even though it was Windows authentication selected, it's still stored as a SQL Server authentication. So I have to go and fix it. That's all. So I'll select the Windows authentication here, and I think it should be all right this time. Click OK. Now my data set doesn't have any fields, so I have to reopen it, and I'll say refresh fields this time. Okay, click on that and click OK. My fields will show up here because my data source is corrected. Okay, all right. So let's build. Let's go back to our report design here. So I'll go back here, and first thing, the header. Right, we are talking about how do you go about the header. We know how to create this. I can drag and drop those fields, but I also need a header in this case and footer. The parent report will have header and footer, not the child reports. Okay, the linkage you will not have header and footer over there. So where is the header, right? You have to enable the header. This is what all you are seeing here is detail section. Okay, so you can right click anywhere and say insert, and you see all the controls, right? Then you have at the page header. Okay, so it's added the header section, and you can expand something, collapse something, I mean, like that. Same thing, you right click again, insert page footer. Okay.
I was going to the toolbox and getting it.
Yeah, but there are different ways, right?
Yeah.
You just
I didn't know
tools.
that I could just
Yeah,
right click
right click and yep, and then you can do something like this. Okay, all right, so now I have header. So again, I can right click here, insert image or something like that. Now your options get limited. Okay, well, as soon as you say there are certain things you can do in header, you cannot do like bunch of other things. So as soon as I right click here in the header, I get only 4 options. But if I right click here in this detail section, I have a lot of different things that I can install or put on the report. So here I will select the image. Okay, and it will ask me where is my image, right? Um, so you have to specify the path for the image. So this would be the name, but where is my path? So that's very important. So I'll go to import, and let's see if I have any pictures or anything like that. I'll put some dummy image for now. Okay. Again, any object that you drop, these are called objects, and they have always have properties. Okay. So you have to understand what the properties are. Just like text box has properties, right? So here I can right click on it, image properties, and I can see it here. Size, there is a size here, visibility, action, border, bunch of things. So let me go and see how can I make sure it's a bigger one. This is the important property, size. So currently our image doesn't look properly, right? It doesn't fit the box. So you can select this fit to size or original size, right? Original size would be bigger image, but fit to size. That is the one I'm going to select. It's going to resize the image inside the item. So if as soon as I do that, I have this. So when I expand collapse, it will be something like that, right? Okay. So that is the option I selected, fit to size. The second portion, this one, what type of control it is? It's a static text, right? So it's purely text control where you can type it in. So I can put that in and patient summary report. Okay. And I can expand, collapse this text box, and you can use just like Microsoft Word. You can do more or lower type of thing. I mean, make the font bigger, smaller. Okay. So now my header looks something similar to that. And I'll go and make it like that. All right. So now I'm going to work on my detail section, and this main report will include only this part. Okay, because I have to build this report separately. So my main report will include the top portion. Again, this one patient name is again static tag, right? There is nothing there. So what I can do is I can again go back here, toolbox, text box, drag and drop, and let's work through. I'm going to expand this time to the full report, something like that. This is where some of the time you guys will spend, okay, in the real world. You have to format it, make sure it prints on 8 by 11 paper, and those things, right? So that's where you're gonna format it, make sure it fits in the one page printout type of thing. Because this report is supposed to be printed on a piece of paper and they can hand it to anyone, right? So, so let's go and do what is that patient name, and I can just select the box and say Control B. It will bold it, or you can bold it from here, right at the top. Now, what am I missing here? If I run this report, right, I can always run it anytime. If I run this report, it shows something like this, right? Patient name. But it's supposed to look like a border boxes around it. Okay. So I can go here, properties again, and this time I'll say border and outline, and I have the property created like that. Again, I'm missing the color as well, right? Fill. So I go to the fill and say what type of background you want, and my starts looking something like that. Right? So now you're probably hoping you're getting some idea about how do we actually build this thing, right? Okay. Let me drag and drop few things quickly. So I'll say first name, okay, and I can select and paste. Okay, last name. I can say date of birth. These are labels. Okay, these are text box labels that I'm building. So I can do something quickly, and then I have SSN. Okay, so if I do preview, okay, I got the labels here. I have but where is my data here, right? There is no data here. So for the data, uh, where my data comes from, data always comes from the data set. Okay, so these are so far what we have done is static work, static text. That's all we put it. But if you want to show actual patient name here, then it should come from my data. So what I can do is I can drag and drop again my legal first name somewhere, and I can align here. Okay, so that's so if I go and run it now, I should start saying the patient name here, which is Eric. Okay, um, same thing, last name I can drag and drop and make sure I align it properly. Birth date, okay, and the last piece is SSN. All right. So sometimes it starts expanding, but you can like minimize or basically format it accordingly, and that should be that's where you're gonna spend some time formatting wise and other things. Okay. So date of birth is here. Let me move that quickly, and then I have SSN. So if I run it, hopefully I can see Eric's record. And now again, these fields are not fitting, so it wraps those fields automatically. So how do I get rid of this 12 a.m.? How do I get rid of it? So I go to the text box properties again, right? Easy things. And then say number, date, and whatever date you want to show, right? So that's the one easy part. Now my date is formatted. And then the last piece would be the SSN. So I just want to make sure it fits. So I will just expand the box here, and let's see for now. Okay. All right. So this is something that you can play around formatting wise. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to kick this guy out. So let's see. Okay. So it's aligned. That's good. Okay. So let's work through the. So I go back here. Okay. This looks similar now. Now again, it says SS number, right? So as a QA, you should be catching it, those issues. If it's something doesn't match, hey, why there is SSN not SS number? That should be a bug from the or discrepancy from the requirement standpoint. So developers should be creating exactly what it is on the report. Okay. So I'm changing to SS number here, and it should show up SS number. Okay. Okay. How do we do the date and time at the bottom? Did anybody play around with that? Right? So here, these are nothing but text box controls, right? You create as a text box. Let me go ahead and add the date and time. For that, I'll go to create text box, two text boxes here. One here and the second one on the other side. Okay. And then you go in the properties or expressions, right? That's where you go. Yep, let's go to the expression. And here you find the built-in fields, and you should be able to see the date time, execution time. So you double click there. Okay, that's my execution time. So it will put something like this. Okay, don't worry about it. And here we'll go expression, and we'll go built-in fields again and say page number. So those are easy ones. Okay, so now my report has a page header and footer and all kind of things, and you can align it like a left align so that it shows a properly page number. You can right align so that it shows on the right side of the page. Those are the details, okay, that you can work through. Yep. So now it shows up on the left and right side of the report. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna save it. So at this point, my main report is done. What am I missing here in my main report? It looks like this, but I'm missing the border, big border, right, at the outside. So what I need to do is I need to right click on the report body properties. Okay. And the body, I need to again specify the border here. It says like this. Let's go here, and yep, that's how my body is supposed to wrap up around it. Okay, those borders. Okay, so let's start creating our second report. Oh, now why it keeps showing me Eric here? How do I run for the separate second, right? So think through. Here is whatever the patient they want to run the report on, they can run it. Right now, I can run only for Eric, no matter what I do. So let's put the ability for user to filter what patient report they want to run. Okay. So how do we go about it? Parameters, right? So you go parameters, add parameter, and we'll add some type of patient ID parameter. Just give it a name, and then please enter patient ID. So these are more like a prompt for the user, so they can input it. Again, the patient ID is a number, So we have to make sure here data type is again number, integer, right? Otherwise you will see like a weird error. I think most of you went through that. So hopefully. Okay. What is the second step for this thing? Connect to the data set, because you add parameter. That doesn't mean your report is hooked up to your query. Okay. So you have to go to the data set and do filters this time. And the parameter value, whatever they type in, you need to supply to the column. So here, first thing is what column, and I'll say patient ID. And then second would be the parameter selection. So go to the expressions, parameters, patient ID. I'll double click there. So it puts this one, and then click OK, click OK. And let's see if I can run it for different patient, 1005. Okay, so I got Andrew Young, and that patient looks good. Okay, all right. So my main report is ready. Okay, at this point. Okay, so when we talk about the creating the child reports, right? These are child reports. These are nothing but brand new reports. You always have to create just like you create a main report, but they won't have a header and footer. Okay, those things. So we'll create separately. So I'm going to close out this report. It's gone. Gone means I closed out the. Now I will add another report called major illness. Again, report is selected, right? That's what we are doing. Major illness. Click add. All right. Again, start over. Cycle starts over. You have to repeat the same steps. Okay. Data source. Um, now there is a one more thing here. So let's say I don't want to create my data sources. Okay. So I'm gonna go back here in this data source. Okay. In this report, and I'll right click on the data source, and here I'll select convert to shared data source. If I know I'm gonna be using 2 or 3 databases different, and I need to use the same data source to multiple reports, then I can convert to shared data source. One time I create it, and then in the first report, and then I change it to convert to shared data source. So what it means is it's available for all the reports, that data source. Okay. So I don't have to redo the same steps, edit connection string for every report. Okay. So at this point, I'll go and save it. All right. And here I can go and work through that. So I'm in the design. Do I need to do this step? I don't. Okay. But here, what I need to do is use shared data sets reference. Okay. I select that, and I should see data source 1. And that's it. So I don't have to supply reconnection strings and everything. Okay. Now I still need to add data set, and again my data set embedded in my report, data source 1, and what is my query here? Major illness, right? So select star from major illness. This query is simpler, but make sure it runs, because major illness has some wording problem. So let's see if it runs. Yeah, see, ILL. Oh, here, patient. Make sure you select the right guy. Okay, good. My query is fine. Okay, so I have major illness, and it returns this current, past, NA, blah 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 as is, no changes. So I'll click OK. My all the fields are there. Now this report does not have header footer. So you guys remember, what do we need to use to display this information? Table, right? Tablix, because this is table, multiple records, right? Remember, this one is a single record. Can I use table for it? Maybe you can, but you cannot format it the same way. Table would be you have a header column, and then you have all the records. Here I have the labels in the line. You cannot do that in the table. So that's why we went through drag and drop text box type of approach.
So now we're trying to do that parent-child,
right? Yes. So how do we go about creating it, right? So we will create this report
and
from
then
scratch,
connect it.
and then at the end you will connect it.
Connect.
Okay. Or all the way at the end.
Okay.
But you still have to repeat the
Okay.
everything else. Okay. So here I will go and find my table, drag and drop. Okay. And you can align it however you want it. Let's just make sure we make it smaller. This detail area. Let's see. So illness type, drag and drop, current, drag and drop, past, and NA. Okay. And I'll make sure I'll make it smaller. Let's see, run it. Again, it shows for all the patients, right? We want to make sure we are showing for only one. So we'll apply the same kind of parameter, but again, you have to create from scratch for this report. Okay. So I will add parameter. This time I'll just name it as ID. Okay. You can name it patient ID, whatever, doesn't matter. But I'll just say ID, enter patient ID, integer, yeah, and that's it. Okay. Again, hook up the data set same way. So go to the data set, filter, add patient ID and function parameters and ID. Okay. So we are hooking up whatever is coming in, user is typing in with the actual field so that it filters out only that value. Click OK, and let's see if I run it. 1005 view report. Okay, it looks good.
Then we haven't put patient ID there.
Where?
Do we need patient ID there?
Does the report include patient ID in the column? It does not, right? So you want to show what is needed for the report. Even though you have it in the data set, that doesn't mean you're going to use it. Okay. But we used it to filter out. Without that, you cannot apply the filters. Okay. All right. So I have this. Now, how do we go about having converting, right? So when I run this report, you guys probably didn't notice, but it shows true or false, right? How do we change it? Because the report expects the values which are yes and no. How do we convert true or false to yes and no, right? So there is an easier way you can do it in the report, and the way you can do it is for individual field you apply some expression on top of it to convert the value. Okay. Now this is a little bit scripting, but let's see if we can apply it. So if I right click on it, do expressions, it shows me currently this field current value. So think through, what are we saying here? If this field value is true, then you want to show yes. Otherwise, you want to show no, right? So you can apply the same way. So there are some built-in functions here, okay, common functions, and let's see if we can find the logical. Where did you go? Program flow.
Bring this button. How do we bring this?
Oh, you can expand collab, right? So you know how do you get here, right? You expand the common functions and the program flow. Okay, program flow is that's where your logical statements are conditional. So here there is a if statement. So this is the one, and it shows you hint. This is how you can use it. If something is true, then show true value, otherwise false value. So I'll apply the same thing here. So I'll put, you can type it in or do something like that. Okay, double click, or you can type it in as well. Okay, if you know the syntax. Okay, so if something is equal true, right, then so yes, else so no. Now this is the syntax. Okay, this you have to get familiar with the syntax, and typically you get a good hint here. If something value, now this is a logical statement, right? It returns in something is true, conditional logical statement. Something has to be true or false, right? then you, if it's true, then you this show this value, otherwise show other value. Okay, and click OK, and let's make sure our scripting runs is correct. So if I show 1005 again, okay, so now I am getting yes here, right? Because I applied that logic only on one field, not the other one. So I have to repeat the same process for other one. Okay. So you can again copy paste, or you can just go to the integer properties here, and you start typing. If is equal true, then yes, else no. Okay. So this is good. Let's go to the last guy. Expression IIF is IIF. Okay. If logical statement true, then yes, else no. Okay. I make sure everything is good. Okay. So my report looks okay, and I'm going to save it. And at this point, I'm done with this report. So I'm going to close out. Right. I'll open my parent report, and I haven't hooked up both yet. So how do I go and hook up? I use the sub report. Okay. So sub report, and you drag and drop on the parent. Let's go and expand a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's see one more. I'll make sure I expand all the way, so we align properly. Okay. Now, before you go to the properties, let's make sure. Now you can't preview it because sub report expects the at least some one report to be shown. Okay. So preview probably will not work. So let's go and hook up sub report first. So you can right click on the properties, and here you can specify use this report as a sub report. Okay. And any report that's in your project, it will show up there. So our sub report is major illness. So let's select that. Now second step, you have to pass the parameter. Okay, the major illness expects patient ID. So you have to specify in the parameter that what value. So this is the major illness one, right? We named it as ID. And what are you filtering? What the values they're supposed to pass in? So here patient ID from the parent report, that's supposed to go to the major illness to filter out, to show only child records related to that particular patient. Okay, and that's it. Let's see if it runs fine. Okay. Now I have a better looking report with some data in it, right? Now I'm missing something though. Okay, so let's see. So I'm missing my major illness header, right? So again, it's no brainer. Plus I'm missing this box, right? So those things I can easily configure. Go back to design, and I have this guy here, and I'll just drag and drop. Sorry, copy paste, and here I can change it to major illness. Okay. The major illnesses. Okay, so that's one. And second thing, border, right? So border, you can take care of it here in this one. You can just say report properties. Actually, right click on the detail section somewhere, body properties, and specify the border here. So we'll save this one, close it, and we'll save this one and run it again. Okay, so now I am seeing the border here. Okay, and if you just want to see how it looks in the PDF or something, you can do export to PDF, right? And let's see how it looks for us. So it will ask you to save somewhere. So let me go to the C temp, so I know where I'm saving. Okay. Now I'll go back here and let's open that file. Okay, so this is my report and see if it looks fine. So it's not perfect, right? This guy has some work to do, but at least we are getting there. It doesn't look exactly what we're supposed to have, but at least I have all the data elements, formatting and stuff. But you can tweak it, all these things, okay? Um, and build one by one. Okay, any question on so far? Any question? Yeah. Yeah. Table. This one here. Oh, here. Oh, you mean the here? Yeah. So right, right. So there are no like lines, right? I think when you print it, let's see, what can we do here, right? This is the border part. That's what you are talking about, right? Okay, so let's see if we can do something about it. So I have to go to the major illness, right, and turn off this this type of thing. So you can go to the tablets properties, I think. Let's see if there is a way to do that. Tablets properties, right? And see if we can visibility, filter, sorting, anything, any properties. So we can see if there is a way to turn that off. Um, there should be a way somewhere. Or you go to the individual text box properties. Let's see, border. Yeah, instead of solid dotted border, you say none for every text cell, I think, and work through that. But typically, that should be an easy way. Okay, here somewhere. Let me make sure. I'll dig up. Okay, I'll tell you what's the easy way, which properties you can use to turn that off. But otherwise, you have to do individual cells. Okay, it should be fine. And same way, right? I mean, you can work through other reports here. So if I go back here and work through this one and this one. Okay. Now let me show you this one quickly. Okay, because this one has little bit more totals, right? How do we go about totals? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a brand new report, and let's call patient bill. Okay. And again, I'll have the data source, SAD, data source one, data set, and this time I'll use patient bill. Select star from patient bill. Okay. Click OK. All right, so I'll repeat the process of tablets, table, drag and drop. Okay, so what I'm looking for is bill amount, visit date, and bill date. So bill amount, visit date, and bill date. And again, visit date and bill date, make sure you get rid of those date timestamp. Same thing with the bill date. Date timestamp. Okay. All right, so if I run it, it looks something like this. Okay, something similar. Well, actually, let's go and do the bold. Okay. Again, I need to apply the filter, right? Those six. So let me go and add the parameter first so that we can run for one patient. Just I'll put ID again, enter patient ID, integer, Click OK. All right, and hook up with the data set. So filters, add, and this is patient ID, and then we'll hook up our parameter. It's a repetitive process, okay? So I'm going a little bit faster, but hopefully you guys are following. All right, so this one, let's see if I can check it quickly. Okay, so this is how I narrow down, but then I also need to put this total bill amount. Okay. Now remember, what are the functions that you can use in the query for total? Sum, right? I can do that and I can calculate this in the query and put another column here and put some logic around it to show only here for that patient. But there is a easier way in the report itself. So my query is straightforward. Select star from major patient group, right? I can add another thing here called grouping. Okay, so I can specify the grouping logic in my report itself instead of specifying grouping and aggregates in my query. So I can do row group or column group. So row group says what rows you want to total on. Column says what columns you want to total. Okay. So here I'm going to use row group here. So I'll select that, okay, and right click on it. So I'll select the row, right click on it and say add group here, okay, and add group, and I can say parent group or child group. Now parent group puts the total before the child rows are displayed. Child group will put it at the end. Okay. Adjacent above or below as well. So let me just go ahead, do the grouping here, and I'll select the adjacent above. Okay, and group by, what am I grouping by? Patient ID. Okay, because patient ID is kind of like all the patient will have same ID. So I want to total for all the records and then group by. Okay, now here, okay, let's go back here. What is it? Okay, so I need to do the row group, right? So here I can put it here and put the total here. Let's go here. Where is the bill amount? Okay, and I can say total bill amount. And let me run it. So this one shows in line, right? Because we didn't put it adjacent above or below. So I can do all kind of formatting, but it will, let me find a patient that has more records in it. Okay, so this guy has like a 2 records here, right? So it will show something nicely formatted. Okay, this is my total amount for this patient. So you can format it, play around with that grouping. Okay, before today, I think before you go home, I want you to make sure you can do the grouping as well, and work through that. This is report provides a lot of capabilities. Okay, uh, that you can do the simple queries and complex stuff in the report itself. Now you have to hook up again. You have to link that up the same report, same way with the parent child, because you develop individually. Link it up with the main. Okay.
What happens now if you're only displaying 4 different subreports, right, on one page?
Okay.
And you want to, if there are more than 5 records, how do you show the page down? Would you be able to, like, for one sub-report, if there are more than, for example, more than 6
Okay.
lines,
Yeah.
and you want
So
how
here,
to
right?
page down?
Yeah. So it will go to the next page. It will automatically go to the next page. The next page will have this header and the footer. It will say page number 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Oh,
Yeah. So like this report is too big, then it will fall to the next page. It will still have a header and footer, same header and footer. It will increment page number by 1.
Can you show me that execution time and
Oh, this one?
yeah.
So what I did was here, let me just go and draw. I dropped the text box in the footer. Okay.
Okay.
And then there are some built-in functions, built-in features, right? So that's what I'm leveraging. So I can go to the text box expressions here, expression, right? That's what I went. And then I can say built-in fields, built-in fields. And here there is execution time is the first one. But there are a bunch of other ones like report name, the file name. If you want to print it somewhere, like this major illness.rdl, right? So you can put that it. Um, page number, user ID, who I'm logged in as. I can actually do that. Total number of pages. So you have typically like page 1 of 10, right? Something like that. You can also do that. So what I mean by that is, let me go here. So I'm gonna drop another box here. Okay. And let's go here. Expression, built-in fields, and total pages, right? So I can do something similar. I think this is common as well in some of the places. So you can say something like 1 of 10. So if I go back here, 1004. So here it's a page 1 of 1, something like that. You have page 1 of 2, something. You can build all kind of depending on how they want to see it, the users. You can have those things. Um,
Can you show the grouping once again?
yeah, sure. Okay. So let me go back here, right? Let me go and remove groups or delete groups. Let me go up here. Let me just go clean up. Okay. So right now, this is my report, right? There is no grouping here. Um, what I can do is I can insert the group here. So I can select that, right click on the row basically somewhere and say add group. And I can do like a parent group adjacent above. So if I want to show above or below something like that, um, here. So let's go here. Let's do parent group. And so what is that you want to group by? Can I group by patient ID or patient bill ID? Do you think? If I what happens if I do patient bill ID grouping? You will not get the totals right properly because patient every patient bill record has a unique patient bill ID. So it will just show the same thing over there. But here I want to select the patient because I want to total for all the records for the patient. And then I can also, there are a couple of options here, add group header or add group footer. Okay. So I'll do group header. So it will show as a header over there instead of showing at the bottom. Okay. So this column, I can change it. It says patient ID, right? I can change to total bill amount. And then I specify what is that, what column I'm totaling on, sum. And here I can actually say bill amount, sum bill amount. Okay. Then I'll go back here and put 1008, and I'll see my total bill amount over there. I think this one, when you work on this one, see if you are able to play around with the grouping. But it's just used for showing the totals. Okay, I want to make sure you understand how you can do that. Because any report will include this grouping, and it in the real life. Okay. Any other question? Yeah.
You said you will make a video of it, right?
Yes, I'm recording it actually.
Okay.
So I'll